Good morning, everyone. It is a lovely Sunday morning here, a little brisk. Had a little bit of rainfall overnight, and happy to be back with you. This morning, I am going out to the garden. If you remember, we did a lot of the prep last fall for this garden bed to have the no-till soil building up, and I want to show you the progress. So a lot has happened since the last time we spoke, and this is what we're dealing with now. It's starting to look like a more of a proper garden bed. Came out here a couple weeks ago once most of the thaw was done in Michigan. It has snowed on and off a couple times since then, but luckily I was able to sneak in a little bit of footing work here for the gate. All of this wood was actually on the property in terms of scrap wood or things I just had laying around in the garage. I didn't purchase anything extra. I already actually had the gate latches and the gate hinges laying around, so it was good to reclaim a lot of this wood. The other thing I did is obviously put all of the T-posts in with the livestock wire. So the big point here is to deter the some of the bigger critters that we can get even just in our yard. The other thing we got that I just haven't put out yet because I don't want them to get used to it is a owl deterrent. So that's essentially like a fake owl that sits here to keep particularly the smaller critters away, so they don't bother our stuff. But yeah, the mulching system is working really well. I did backfill some mulch just around the corner based on how I put the fence together. But it's looking really good. I'm super happy with it. But let me show you why. So this is what's in here. It's filled with life. There's all kinds of worms and stuff you can see in here. And it goes down pretty darn deep. I've actually tried to dig down to where the cardboard was, and I can't find it. Seal that back up. So I'm super happy with the progress on the garden area. The only thing we really have left to install are obviously planting all the seeds, that owl deterrent, and then running our irrigation out here, which I've already got all the stuff for and plan to do. But before, and speaking of irrigation, I want to show you what that next step is on the house here. So sometime this like late fall, early winter, I redid all of this back here. You can see some plants that kind of are remaining there, but there's our spigot to go down to the farm there to grow the plants for irrigation lines. And you can see I got some power washing to do this spring between the gross deck and this back wall, but that's for another day. There was a big shed here that was filled with stuff from the previous owners that they just never took, so I got that moved and cleaned out. We actually moved it down that way. And then I did actually reseed this with grass, but it was some grass seed that I just had laying around. No expectations. But there are some areas that have some grass coming up. So cool beans for that. So this was on the property as something that someone made. I don't know if it was a prep table for, you know, growing beds or things like that, but whatever it was, it's here. But it's actually perfect to put a rain barrel system on. So what I'm going to be doing is putting 2 barrels here that I have in the garage. I'll show you those in a second. And then I'm going to be tapping into the eaves trough here and putting the water down into the rain barrels so we can primarily water from that. I'm thinking what my plan is to use obviously the rain that's coming down from the sky before the electricity and the well that we have here. It's also just really good to have a just reserve amount of water just sitting here. Obviously it's not necessarily ready to drink given that it came off the roof and all the things that might be in it. So the system will build up in the one tank. We'll have the second tank as the overflow. They'll both drop down into a T valve in the long term. And then I'm gonna actually run probably like a 1.5 horse pump, electric pump that runs the water out to the garden. Now the question is, what if you run out of water in the barrels or if it hasn't rained enough? And the answer is I will be splitting a 4-way off of my spigot from the house, and one of those will actually run into one of the barrels. So worst case scenario, I'm primarily using rainwater to do all of my irrigation, but if we did run a little bit low, we can turn the hose line on, fill up those barrels, and go from there. Which actually brings me to my next project, which is sitting right here. So I don't know if you guys know this actually, but most of you have come to our channel from travel videos and things like that. And we love to travel. We are looking forward to doing it more this year, actually, once we get out of everything that is going on in the world right now. But the other passion that I have is I've always wanted to be a farmer, and I don't know why that is actually. I think I love just being outside, and I love the science of it. I love growing things in a natural state and way. So with that, I've always wanted to have animals too. And where we're at is rural, but there are homes and subdivisions like around us. So there are some things that we can and cannot do. Number one, we can't have cows, we can't have sheep or goats or anything like that on this particular property. No pigs either. And that is because just the size. We have the right to have it if we had just about 1 more acre of property. We can't have roosters, we can't have turkeys, things like that make an excessive amount of noise, but what we can have is a handful of chickens, like 3 to 5 chickens. So the only rule is you can't have a structure, a livestock structure, a chicken coop within 50 feet of a property line. So it's important, as I'm laying all this out, if you guys are inspired to do any of this, that you look up your local ordinances to see if there's anything like this. That's how I got all this information. But I do watch a lot of farmers and homesteaders on YouTube too, just because it's something I admire. Clearly that's kind of what we're doing. But Justin Rhodes on YouTube inspired me to build a mobile chicken coop. So sticking with the reclaimed property theme, all of this wood, with the exception of a few pieces that, like these two here, this one, nah, that's not even that one. A couple pieces are brand new, but were sitting around and I was not using. Everything else on here is reclaimed. So either was sitting outside, sitting in the attic, sitting in the house, everything. This trailer itself was actually sitting out from the previous owners, just filled with junk, and I wanted to get rid of the junk anyway, which we did, but I was like, man, I wonder if I could use that as my mobile chicken coop. I did buy this trailer jack, so the boat jack to be able to put it down, and these milk crates and the chicken wire. That's what's new. Everything from the hinges on the back door, all of this, I'll show you exactly. It moves very easy, and you can pull it with my lawn tractor, which is cool. And it was actually Allison's idea, what to do about this back door. If you follow me on Instagram, you guys all know all about this, but that's why I'm putting it here. Just a simple little locking mechanism here. Door folds out, goes down. Got to put a couple more bars on there, but there you go. There's a little coop. The little perches they can stand on. There'll be a corrugated metal roof on top of this. That's pretty much the last thing I have to do here. So as I push this back here, so yeah, like I said, we're gonna get probably about 3 to 5 chickens. I honestly wanted to start with pullets, which are young hens, but it doesn't look like any are available or people at this time want to come off of them, so we might have to go the route of raising chicks. I just wanted to avoid that this first time as we get used to chickens and not get all the brooder supplies and things like that, but we'll see. Here's the tractor, got some manured compost over there, my barrels for the rainwater system, and an absolute crap ton of boxes, which let me explain. So we've been building this up for almost a year now, and that's just a scary whole procedure in itself. It really kind of helps you realize the amount of boxes you create or stuff, just like one family does, which is kind of crazy. Having a newborn is a primary contributor for those boxes, let me tell you. The point here is there's a lot that are just the cardboard, don't have the paint on them. The paint, technically, we need to just recycle those, but the ones that are just cardboard, if you remember when we prepped our beds, that's exactly why we're keeping them. We used a ton of our cardboard for that, so we said, cool, let's save some of it and see if we can use that to prep more beds. Down here in the basement is where I have all of my seedlings going, and it's been hit or miss. I had some old seeds that were probably like 1.5 years old, and I was like, man, these probably aren't gonna have great success rate, so I did order more, luckily. And let's show you how they're coming. So these were planted about 2 weeks ago and about a week ago, and I'm loving the progress. This guy is a little garlic that we planted. There's some carrots in here. There's some spinach over there. But like I said, they didn't germinate very well for these older seeds. However, these guys we ordered from Johnny's, and honestly, the other ones were not germinating so well that I kind of overseeded these, so I'm gonna have to thin them. You can see that some of them are pretty darn thick in there. And here's our other ones. Over on this side, we got some cukes. We've got some tomatoes. It looks really, really good coming up. And then in the middle bit here, I've got more carrots. So no Bear or Allison in this video, just a quick one for you. Like I said, it's about 8 o'clock on a Sunday. Allison's sleeping in and Bear is surprisingly sleeping in, which is nice. Normally we're having to get up fairly early on the weekends. So we appreciate all you guys. Thanks for joining us. Let me know your thoughts. What should we add to the property within the confines that we have? We have a good yard. I thought about putting planters on the inside of the fence too, but we're just getting started with the garden. So I want to kind of ease into it, and then depending on our success, let's see if we can go gangbusters with it and do a bunch of stuff. What have you guys found success with? Do you have any watch outs for the chickens or for the garden? Would love to hear that. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully we'll make more of these videos soon, but with all the craziness going on with work, I just hope all of you guys are staying safe and managing your stress properly. You know, some of that has had to result in us walking away from the video for a little bit, but we'll be back. Don't worry about it. Stick with us. We love you all. See you next time. For those of you who stayed to the end, this is my quarantine beard. In the beginning, they were wondering if men should shave their beards because of masks and stuff. I've been pretty much staying at home, so I've just been growing my beard since being like self-quarantine. You should too. Show me your quarantine beards on Twitter @RiverAuthable. You don't need to have a beard to participate. Just want to see your faces. Bye.